Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green. And today we'll be looking at potential transfer targets for FPL Game Week 3, as well as potential wildcard draft as well. So if you enjoy the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe if you'd like to see more. So let's get into it. So before we can get started on the transfer targets for Game Week 3, we have a little look at how Game Week 2 went. And I can confirm it was a green arrow. Star of the show was, unsurprisingly, Haaland. He was home to promoted Ipswich and he scored a hat-trick. Who could have thought, right? As I mentioned before my team selection, the only conversation was to captain or to triple captain him. If you told me he would have scored a hat-trick, I probably would have hit the triple captainship, but yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to wait for later in the season now. Disappointing from Chris Wood, but I'll give him another game as he's got the Wolves. Isak as well. Newcastle don't look to be playing too well, but they're home to Spurs, who always leak chances. But the main problem, of course, is again Nkunku. I benched Gabriel's clean sheet and his bonus, but he actually got yellow as well, but it didn't matter because my defense all returned. But I guess I could have started him over Nkunku. So let's see what we're going to do with him. So I can confirm that Nkunku has actually left my team. I sold him on Monday before he dropped in price. Have to preserve all the squad value wherever you can possibly. It will come in handy later in the season, I can promise you that. And in terms of replacements, I think the number one replacement, if you haven't got him already, has to be Morgan Rogers. He was, the star of the show really, even in a loss. They were even talking him up, giving him an individual interview after the game. Lee Castley was there as well, the current England interim manager. So he could be one to watch in terms of getting a call-up for England. But as for me, of course, I was ahead of the curve, so I've owned him since Game Week 1. I mentioned him in my Game Week 1 team selection video. He looks very impressive. Very excited to own. I think the other replacement, if you don't own already, would also be Smith Rowe, but again, ahead of the curve, and I own him already too. So I think, the best replacement really could have been someone like Madueke, but he could also be a minute's risk going forward. So I opted to go for Antoine Semenyo of Bournemouth. He was very impressive over the opening 2 weeks actually. He's got the highest XG involvement figure of any player, and on Saturday against Newcastle, he had 7 shots, 5 of them in the box. He also had 3 key passes, created 2 big chances, and he assisted the goal as well for Bournemouth. So he'll just sit on my bench for this week. He'll come in for Chris Wood next week when Chris Wood goes away to Liverpool at Anfield and Bournemouth hosts Chelsea. So onto the wildcard draft. So before we get into it, I would just like to put a disclaimer that I will not be activating my wildcard. There's quite literally 0% chance of that happening. I do think it's far too early. It's literally Game Week 3, and of course it is a 38 game week season. You only get 2 wildcards each season, so if you use it now, you won't have one until Game Week 20. And of course, the earlier you use your wildcard, the earlier you're probably going to want to use your next one. And I do think trying to preserve your chips for as long as possible is the better play. But if you wanted to see what an optimal team for Game Week 3, given the 2 weeks of data we've given, yeah, exactly, 2 weeks is not enough, but just given the 2 weeks of data, this is the team I would probably build. So starting in goal, we've got Debu, also known as Emi Martinez. Of course, he is a World Cup winning goalkeeper now. He saves pretty good at saving penalties as well, so probably, you never know where he'll be able to get that pull one out of the bag. But Aston Villa do themselves have a great set of fixtures coming up, and I do think it's worth paying the 0.5 extra over 4.5 like Henderson, because Palace are defending terribly at the moment. And Brent's fixtures are not good. I mean, of course they play Southampton this week, but then the next 2 are not good either. Then Trent will keep his place if I was to wildcard. He's just been playing exceptionally well on the slot, and Liverpool have actually been posting very good defensive numbers. They've conceded less than 1 XG over the opening 2 game weeks. Of course, they go away to Man United this week, so it's a real test for them. Next in goal is Milinkovic of Forest. He actually had 2 big chances on Saturday. He had a 0.98 XG. So, maybe one to watch and maybe one to monitor. Maybe a threat from corners or set pieces. He is quite tall, 6'5", I believe. And Forest have great run of fixtures as well. Robinson would also keep his place. We expected him to keep, I didn't expect him to keep a clean sheet, but he did pull out an attacking return. He also got some bonus. And Fulham have great fixtures coming up. So definitely one to invest in. And then, of course, on the bench, we'd have Dunk as well. He's away to Arsenal this week, so you would not be playing him, but he rotates quite well with the defence. As does Johnson as well of Ipswich. He actually got an assist away to Man City, surprisingly, for £4 million. Quite a big budget option. And then into the midfield. So, of course, the reason why people are thinking to activate the wildcard right now is to try and fit in a Threemium. So, of course, we would start with Salah. He's been great so far. He's joined top goal and point scorer with Haaland so far. Got a goal against Brentford. I'm not actually too convinced by him, if I'm totally honest, but I guess if you want to have a premium, you want to have a big hitter, you have to go with Salah. Liverpool do have still a decent run of fixtures, not as good as it was in Gameweek 1. Obviously, I started with Jota. Next, it would be Semenyo. It's not just someone I transferred into my own team, but I do think he'd be a good option to have. Away to Everton. Everton look completely lost at sea at the moment. They haven't even actually created a single big chance going forward. So I do think Bournemouth going away to Everton this week is a great option. Of course, Morgan Rogers as well. He's away to Leicester. He's quite literally the talk of the town at the moment. I think someone that's going to be very exciting to own, exciting to watch as well. So he's going there. Of course, Palmer comes in as well. Everyone is excited about Chelsea at the moment because they scored 6 goals on the weekend. I would note though that they did score 6 goals from about 1.6 XG. So that just tells you it is not a very sustainable way of going forward. But of course, Chelsea do have the fixtures, and Palmer is proven quality now in the Premier League. I don't think there's any doubt about him. Certainly not a one-season wonder. Then, of course, you have Smith Rowe. He scored on the weekend. And to go with Robinson, they still have a great run of fixtures. Chris Wood keeps his place as well. He does have Wolves this week, but he would rotate quite nicely with the bench option, which you'll be able to see. Of course, Erling Haaland will go nowhere. He'll be the captain this week as well. And on the bench, it will be João Pedro. So, of course, Brighton are away to Arsenal this week, but the next two, they have Ipswich and Forest. So you definitely want to own Brighton for that. So that's the wildcard draft for this week. Let me know what you think. Like I said, I will not be activating it. And I'll see you later for team selection.